All right, it's hot and I'm bothered, and half in I'm going to go full throttle again because nothing like a heat wave to burn my energy butt. This country is roasting and screaming for energy, and we're still blocking so much energy. We got no drilling, right? Just spending more green on green that invariably comes up red. If our precarious grid doesn't griddle your patience, nothing will, because to be all in on energy, you have to consider all forms of energy. I'm with the administration on that. What fries me is I don't think the administration really is in on that. Talking a very good game at expanding traditional fossil fuels, but stopping them at almost every pipeline pass and favoring untested fuels. Look, I support green initiatives, wind, solar, you name it, but not at the costly expense of ignoring the big one we have and plenty of it. I have no idea where energy prices will go in the short term. I cannot fathom what even the prospect of an oil blockade in the Hormuz will have in any term. I do know that we've been energy lucky because the whole global economy's been, well, actually very sucky. But eventually things will get better, and demand will also get better. And that's when things get hotter and trickier. And our grid grinds to a groan. And our energy indifference comes back to haunt. Leave it to someone hot and bothered to shout loud and clear. You don't need to heat the entire kitchen to know that the cook is screwing up in the kitchen. They better get this right, or we should be telling them it's their fannies that are fried. And this warming, well, the administration says it's all global warming. Problem is most folks still ain't buying, particularly young folks, only 5% of whom in a recent poll are actually alarmed by this. David Asman says he's not at all surprised.
No, I'm not.
I was startled.
I'm not surprised. As a matter of fact, I thought the most startling figure was 66% of the young folks don't believe there's global warming at all. 66%. Climate science is in shambles. Remember that whole...
You know, wouldn't they have been the group you thought would have been buying it hook, line, and
One would think, but there, you know, it gives hope for the future that there's some smart, independent thinkers out there. Despite all the media, AP just came out with a report saying that this heat wave that we're in indicates, as nothing else has, that we're in a period of global warming. Well, in fact, it's been cool for the past couple of years, and just recently they came back to global warming. Remember, they went to it's all about climate change because, in fact, things were getting a little cool, so they had to change rhetoric.
Those are two distinct phenomena, climate change and global warming.
Well, the point is that it gets hotter, it's colder. Look, a heat wave here doesn't necessarily mean that the world is getting warmer, just as a cold winter doesn't mean that it's getting colder.
Coldest winter in decades?
It's happened for the past couple of seasons. We have had colder weather. The point is that the young people have looked at the way a lot of these global warming enthusiasts have kind of twisted the facts and the theories and intimidated people and used censorship and rigged computer models in order to prove their point. If that's the way you have to prove your point, I don't think I'm in favor of the point.
Now, the longer this drags on, and you and I have seen this before, the more this issue of climate change will be raised, and the more the administration and others will put pressure on businesses to do something about this.
And the problem is that as climate science is in a shambles, the president is still using global warming and the climate science, as if you will, to kill carbon energy in any way, shape, or form, whether it's putting more restrictions on fracking of natural gas or coal. I was just out in Detroit yesterday talking to an entrepreneur who's come out with this new way to treat coal so that it burns cleaner than natural gas. I mean, we're having this extraordinary progress on how to get more from our carbon fuels while the president is doing as much as he can to destroy carbon fuels. We could be not only more self-efficient here, but we'd be able to cut the cords with the oil sheiks. We'd be able to bring down the price of oil, and we'd have a future that we can count on in terms of energy. Instead, I know you may be a big fan of wind turbines, but I'm not. And by the way, a lot of
well, the reason why I am because I don't
folks,
think they involve any workers.
Oh, I
seriously. Have you ever gone in California where they have for miles and miles? All those
but part of the problem is
there are no workers there.
They don't seem to work that
well. Are there
well.
People inside
the wind
them,
turbines
like a Hansel and Gretel thing?
I think they're bicycling.
There?
They've got one of those bicycles that they're. The fact is that.
You raise this seriously a very good point, Dave. That if this keeps up, they'll use an excuse to go slow on typical fossil fuels. Yeah. And to look at alternatives.
At the very point when we are having incredible alternatives with regard to coal and natural gas right here in the United States. I mean, we could become completely efficient, completely just using the fuels that we have here would meet all of our needs of production if the president was to take the lid off of fossil fuels, and he seems on trying to destroy it one way or the other, as you said in your editorial.
You were commenting, I don't want to say anything out of school, on your ticket coming back.
I just took the trip to Detroit, and on my ticket it says CO2 emissions. The total CO2 emissions for your travel is 229 kilograms. You know, that's the beginning. They begin to put the hooks in, and then eventually the tax comes later and the costs come later.
Yeah.
We know that they're already taxing airlines overseas. They want to do the same with U.S. airlines. All this adds to the ticket price. It adds to the price of everything. So, I mean, a very, very sort of shaky science is now being used to formulate public policy that's hurting us in the pocket.
And this is right on your ticket. I did not know that private jets provided that.
I haven't taken a private jet in a long time.
Thank you, Dave. David,
you're welcome, my friend.
Brainiac Asman. All right, we got a Fox Body Alert for you. This is a Kate